Is that all you got?
What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Shadicstick dropping some hot faraga on this mic. Now, before we begin, my voice is going to sound a bit different. It's really because I lost my voice a few days ago, so don't mind that. But let's talk about Bayonetta 3. It's been 2 years since Bayonetta 3 was announced, so please give me the inkling of not even like a trailer, just an ounce of news, Platinum. So the first question is up. Should we worry about Bayonetta 3? It's been 2 years since we've seen anything, and news has been scarce. I even covered this in previous videos this year. Again, while I believe Platinum might just be waiting so the game is as polished as possible, or Nintendo and Platinum are waiting for the next direct where they don't have anything really filling it in, and they need something, so they choose Bayonetta 3. I am still worried. There is still cause to be worried. When a game is announced and there's no news for years, it can mean anything, whether that be good or bad. I mean, let me give you some examples. With Final Fantasy 15, the game went through development hell. It stayed in development for 10 years, changing stories, upgrading engines, changing consoles, and even changing names. The game was originally called Final Fantasy Versus 13, for God's sake. And the man who was originally director wasn't Hajime Tabata, who has gone on to make his own game development studio, and right now he's currently making mobile games or something, I don't know. It was originally Tetsuya Nomura, who we all know is Square's most important game developer, at least at the moment, and at the time. So think about that. A lot can change when we have a game being developed over such a long period of time and hearing nothing about it, really. I mean, I remember the first time when they announced it, and the next time we got news was like it was a while. It was quite a few years before we got anything new on that game. All we knew about it was that it was supposed to be a part of the Fabula Nova Crystallisis, which was a series of games based around the Final Fantasy 13 lore. But so much spending and time went on that Square made it a mainline entry. On top of it, it bled money for Square Enix for years, so much so that it had to sell over 5 million units just to break even. While it wasn't likely that it'd be hard for the Juggernaut series that Final Fantasy is, it would be hard for any game outside of Final Fantasy in that genre that isn't something like Pokemon to sell that well, even from a big name company. I mean, JRPGs are becoming considered more niche nowadays than something that's a staple of, I guess, a part of like the game industry or a part of the big sellers, the big AAA hits. Yes, we get a lot of JRPGs still, but it feels like more and more of them are becoming these smaller level projects, or not considered as big contenders for the AAA market. And when we look at games like Metroid Prime 4, it's a tale of true sadness, because while we will eventually get the game, and we eventually got a good game that was Final Fantasy 15 at launch, Metroid Prime 4 apparently wasn't the case. While the game hadn't launched, the original team working on the game came out and said it wasn't good. It wasn't up to their standard. This then got the game's development completely restarted despite being nearly done, and passed on to a different team, that being Retro Studios. Now, before we continue, yes, Platinum has come out and said a few times, don't worry about the game, it's still being worked on. And they don't want to show any of the game if it isn't polished. Now, while I completely understand this, I feel like they should release some type of information. When I say info, it doesn't even have to be gameplay or visuals explicitly. Even if it's just the devs talking about the game's mechanics or the story, it would be fine. And they've said vague things like, oh, the story and the gameplay is going to be more expansive than ever. But those aren't specific details. They're just kind of saying, oh, it's going to be good. And that's all we've got to go on. Honestly, not seeing the game for so long since reveal is just making those ideas pop up, especially since we got nothing at the Game Awards this year. Especially like we did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we got Bayonetta 3 and it was a big deal. And yes, while the Game Awards isn't technically for the purposes of reveals and announcements, that's what it serves as. It's the reason most people watch it, and it's evident by the amount of people that watch it for that and the amount of times they've gotten massive reveals for the event. Because Jeff Keighley knows that's what draws people in. And it's become even more evident since they started focusing less and less on the awards, saving many of them for off-screen this year, and filling in much of the time with ads. In all honesty, I just am a little bit worried about Bayonetta 3 because we haven't heard anything significant about it in a while. And yes, I still believe the game's going to come out. I still think it's going to be great. We've heard more and seen more of Platinum's other projects in the past 2 years than we have about Bayonetta 3. We're getting a Bayonetta 1 and Vanquish remaster for PS4. PS4. You've already gotten Astral Chain. And then on top of that, they've shown off Babylon's Rogue, which looks great. I just hope we get some more news soon on Bayonetta 3's development. That's all. Whether that's gameplay or that story, I just want to know what Platinum's up to with the game. And hopefully hear something good about the game's development. But guys, this has been your man Shadicstick. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Merch is in the description. The link to merch is in the description. Buy it. Buy it for your people for Christmas. Get your mom or dad or cousin or sister or friend or whatever to buy you merch for Christmas. Be like, Shadic is one of my favorite YouTubers. But on the real, links to everything's down in the description below. Make sure you follow your boy on Twitter and join the Discord. I'd highly appreciate it. We're trying to get to at least 780 on Twitter. It's 780 followers by the end of the year. I mean, that's not so hard considering I've been stuck at like between 765 and 770 for the past like half a year. But guys, don't forget, this is your man Shadicstick. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Remember, Hot Faraga turns to Cold Blizzaga. Make sure you check out some of my other videos. We're out of here. Peace, and see you later, Space Cowboys. Kiss, kiss.